Where am I at in the avalanche of destruction story? So the first night was the 6 chickens from there. The second night was the 7 eggs that were a week away. And then the third night was the accident with the fencing where 2 fences got shredded and the energizer got smashed. And that was at 7:30 at night. There wasn't much I could do. What I did do is I went out there with my stapler and tried to reinforce everybody's chicken coops as best as I could, which worked. I lost the 3 chickens. Their remains were still inside the coop, and probably a raccoon, because I saw one that night. I had that night after dark, I was coming out every 15-20 minutes to check on them, and it didn't do any good. I discovered them. It was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. I came out. I saw a raccoon running. Who's making noise? Oh. I came out about 1 in the morning. I saw a raccoon running across my driveway, and I went out with the flashlight and saw why the I don't know. I don't even want to know. But I discovered them about 1 o'clock in the morning. They weren't. The fence was there, but I had no energizer to power it. So yeah, and I stayed up most of that night. Didn't get enough sleep. I was already exhausted from all the work I'd done fixing the fencing out here to protect them. And so the next day was a fencing, 101 degrees again, sunny, no breeze, 85% humidity, and I had 2 energizers. So I needed one out here to protect Larry and my girls, my white and true blue girls, and the Welsummers and the Olive Acres. And so I had to try to protect the other 4 coops with 1 energizer, which meant rearranging all the fencing so that it connected. And then I had, but the 2 fences had been shredded, so I tried to fix them in very quick, rearranging the fencing, and I didn't get enough sleep, and I just didn't do a good enough job. So on the 4th night, I lost some more chickens. This time it was in that back flock near where I caught the raccoons. Both of those flocks. In the one flock, I lost 2 of the production brown egg layers, and then in the other flock those are kind of my grow out pen. Nothing but boys in there. But I lost 1 cockerel. He was probably about 6 months old, and he would have gone in the freezer. That wasn't, so that cost me part of my food budget. But so I lost 3 more that night also. And as soon as I saw that, the night that the Energizer got busted, I was able to order one of those. Those were like $100. So I had an Energizer coming. I couldn't afford to just buy another fence right away without some finagling. And it didn't matter because Premier One, their fences are on back order. They're as popular as toilet paper was a couple months ago. Same with baby. People are not only stocking up on their food supplies and essentials like toilet paper. People were stocking up on chicks and chickens and everything that goes along with chicks and chickens. There were months where Tractor Supply was out of waterers. You couldn't find a chicken waterer anywhere. They were always running low on chicken feed. The big hatcheries like Murray McMurray, they were selling double what they normally sold. They were selling out their entire season. So yeah, Premier One, that makes sense that their chicken fencing was sold out also. Luckily their energizers weren't. So I did a rush order on an energizer, and but still that was a dozen adult chickens that I lost. 10 hens 10 hens, my whiting true blue cockerel that I had picked out for breeding, and then one of the olive acre cockerels. Yeah, but it wasn't done. It wasn't done yet because I'd been staying up late trying to guard my chickens, even though it was futile unless I spent every second out there. Man, those things are quick. Well, and now I know that there were 3 raccoons. I also saw a possum earlier, but see, I'm rambling and going off topic. Okay, where am I at? I lost 12 chickens. I finally got back up to 3 energizers so that I could power all of my fences, and I repaired 1 fence. Let's take a look at that real quick. This was one of the patch jobs that I did with the fencing that got ripped apart. They send you those little brass or metal clamp things so that you can repair fence, but they don't send you enough. Luckily, I've had enough fences, but yeah, you just got to cut them apart, tie them together, and then clamp them so that they maintain that the electricity going through there. And on these, this is where the electricity goes on the black and white ones. The electricity doesn't go up and down, it just goes on these. And there's little metal filaments in there amongst the black and the white you know, vinyl, whatever, roping stuff. So yeah, I had to repair my fence. I misspoke. I repaired 2 fences is what I did. The ends had gotten ripped apart, and so yeah, so I cut off those sections, and then I tied those 2 fences, connected those 2 together, that makes one really long fence. It's impossible to handle when you're trying to rearrange them, but I did what it did, and it's working. It's working right now. You know, I've got my tester, so it's up there at whatever, it's got 2, 4, 6, and 8, whatever measurement that is. But the fences are good. You know, I had to cut some sections out, and you know, it was 101 degrees and sunny, and I was staying up late, so I was sleeping during the day when it was so hot and humid. And so the 5th day, first day was 6 chickens. The second day was the 7 hatching eggs. The third day was the 3 hens, and the 4th day was the 2 hens and a cockerel. And the 5th day I slept. And while I slept, when it was 101 degrees, the fan in the mobile home that I have aimed at the baby chicks brooders burnt out, and that caused the power to go out in the mobile home also. But it was 101 degrees outside, and I'm sure it got up to close to 115 degrees in the mobile home. And I was using that fan with that fan and opening the window. You know, between those 2, I could keep it down to whatever the temperature was outside, which 101 isn't, that's pretty bad for chicks once they get older. But you know, it hits 115 with this humidity, and I lost a lot of baby chicks. I haven't revisited that. It was close to 30 baby chicks I lost. Because the fan, and I'm lucky that the mobile home didn't burn down and burn down my cabin and burn down the entire homestead. But yeah, that fan failed. I didn't open the windows that morning either. I forgot that. I was just so tired, and you know, I slept all day. I didn't wake up until 4 in the afternoon, and I discovered that disaster, and that was a big disaster. I had baby chicks that I gotten from Chicken Scratch Poultry in Southern Illinois, another place that I got Welsummers and Marans. I had a bunch of my whiting true blue purebreds, and then I had a bunch of olive acres that I was trying to, you know, rehome a bunch of olive egger chicks, and yeah, that was a disaster, and I don't like thinking about it. The other part of that disaster, losing the baby chicks, is that it also flipped the circuit breaker in the mobile home, so I lost power in the mobile home, and I had incubators in my room. I've still got an air conditioner in my old room in the mobile home so that I can keep the temperature, well, keep it from hitting 115 degrees. When you incubate eggs, you want it 99.5 to 100 degrees is the temperature that you incubate eggs at. Without the air conditioner, during the heat of the day, it got well over 100 degrees in that room, and so I lost all of the hatching eggs that were in those incubators. They were, you know, they got too hot and they didn't make it. I had a bunch of my Whiting True Blue purebred eggs in there, and I had you know, more, yeah, there were 24, I had 64 eggs in 2 incubators, and you know, I still tried to hatch them, but none of those ended up hatching, so I lost those also. So you can see all those plans for producing 160 eggs per month and hatching 100 to 120 of them, all of those plans hinged on the baby chicks and the eggs that I had been doing in July, and all of that was it was a disaster. It was a disaster because I just oh yeah, those the Whiting True Blue purebreds, I had some that I hatched, but I had the ones that I had got from Murray McMurray. I had gotten 20 of them plus 1 freebie, and I didn't lose all of those. I have 8 of those did make it, but the other 13 did not. So, you know, going down from 20 to 8, from, you know, 10 potential hens down to 4 potential hens, and that was a big loss. So, and I've only got 4 Whiting True Blue hens that are laying right now. I've got 4 more that are gonna start laying, but that's only 8. And I needed at least 12 to do my Whiting True Blue purebreds. But I was also gonna use the Whiting True Blue hens to put in with a Welsummer or Maran to create the olive eggers. So I needed 12 Whiting True Blue hens to do my purebreds, but I also needed another, you know, another at least 12, probably more, to be able to offer the olive eggers. And so now it's, you know, I'm barely going to have the 12 hens in the spring to do my plans. And there again, like the Premier One fence and like the hatching eggs from Deer Run Farm, even if I would have had the money to buy more of the Whiting True Blue chicks from Murray McMurray, I couldn't. They're sold out. They're completely sold out. So I can't get any more Whiting True Blues. They're the only big hatchery where you can get them, and I needed them for my breeding program and for my you know, my chicken breeding operation of making a living here. So that was devastating. The avalanche of disasters was really devastating. I had been putting everything I had into this chicken breeding operation, and just within a week's time, it just an avalanche of disaster, and all of my dreams of being able to support myself, it came, you know, crumbling down, so to speak. And you'll recall I wasn't doing videos during that time. That was another thing that happened. I was doing videos during that time, but I lost the footage. Dudes, it was one thing after another, and a lot of the stuff is, you look back and it's silly and stupid, but my video camera, every time you start making videos, it creates a folder, to put the video files in. And the folder is a numbering system, and it starts off at 000, and the numbering system goes up to 999. And then once it gets to 999, I didn't know it at the time, but you have to manually reset it. Well, you know, and that's, so I've done like 1,000 days worth of videos, which makes sense because I've made over 700. But anyway, it hit 999, and I put it in the computer. The computer would not read the files. I put it back into the camera. The camera wouldn't, kept giving me an error message, a file format incompatible or something like that. And so after, you know, a couple hours of research on the internet trying to save all these files, they were just lost. So I probably had 3 or 4 days worth of videos. They were just lost. And, you know, it's an avalanche of disaster. I was done. I was done with chicken breeding. I was done with YouTube. I was done, and you know, Drew, we texted back and forth that night, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. You know, as I've been trying to make some extra money, doing stuff, I'd been back in contact with people in Illinois, and I had actually gotten a short-term job offer back in Illinois until November. And, you know, I was tempted to just, you know, pull up stakes, give away my chickens, and go to Illinois for a few months and, you know, just see what happens there. That was only a short-term job where most of it anyway, I don't want to get it. And I didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to go back to Illinois. And, you know, I didn't want to have to sell this homestead and buy a van and go live down by the river. You know, there's, you can't get much lower standard of living than where I am right now, but that would be one of it, living in a van down by the river. But, you know, I was just done. I was done with YouTube. You know, all of my efforts weren't as successful as they had been. You know, I'd gone up and it was awesome, but I was on the way back down, and then I put in all this time and effort into videos and it wasn't paying off, and I, you know, we got our stimulus checks, and that's what I used to get the baby chicks and the hatching eggs, and I used that to invest. Well, actually, I used that to pay my taxes, but which freed up money for me to invest in the chicken operations. But it all hinged on those baby chicks growing up from now until the spring, and them you know, laying eggs in the spring for me to hatch. It all hinged on that, and I could not see any way that I was going to be able to make that up. You know, the Energizer was $100. Those fences are $190 each. You know, the hatching eggs, I don't even want to talk about how much those cost, and the baby chicks, and, you know, I couldn't, without making enough money this year, no month this year had I made enough to pay my own bills. Luckily, you know, that stimulus check, my sister has been a huge help with all this, helping me invest in as much as she can, probably more than she can. So, you know, I was confident I could make it till next spring, but, you know, things happen and expenses come up, and, you know, revenues go down, and I didn't see how I was going to make it till next spring, and be able to support myself. And I didn't see, you know, I'm not going to suddenly be more interesting on YouTube and start making a lot more money on there. And you guys know I hate asking for help. I just, unless I need it. And I have a very distinct line between need and want. You know, I may want help, but need is, you know, I really stick to the meaning of that word need. I don't need food, I don't need shelter, I don't need water. You know, I'm good. I'm good as far as my needs go. Long history there, but so I only like well, I never like asking for help, but you know, I don't want to do it unless I need help. And you know, I don't need help right now. I might this winter. I might need some help this winter if I want to keep my electricity on and keep my internet. But right now I'm going to be good for a few months. I've got, you know, ideas. I'm still trying to make 20 bucks here, 50 bucks there. And that might pay off. It is the election season. But I was done. And Drew and I were, we were sharing texts, and I told him, you know, I listed like 20 bad things that had happened, and I'm leaving stuff out too. I don't even remember everything bad that happened. Chiggers, yeah. One of the days in the 101 degree sunny heat, I'm out there rearranging fences and using my push weed eater, and yeah, chiggers, they're wonderful all over your legs when you're, so that added to the misery. Well, I'm just a ball of whining today. I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was done. I was ready to take that job, head to Illinois until November, and then take it from there. I did not see a light at the end of the tunnel, as it were, for me being able to make a living out here, and I was done. And I told that to Drew, and the next morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 police officers showed up.